My setup is slightly smaller than that.
Good evening, hockey fans. Welcome to tonight's matchup between your whole century generation Mankato Panthers and the visiting Mankato East Cougars. Right into the starting lineups for the Cougars, we have Eagle, number 33, Grant Oaks. On D, number 14, Evan Shield. On D, number 19, Jillian Borgman. Forward number 8, Lena Peterson. Forward number 16, Ava Thibodeau. Forward number 17, Ella Fugazi. Cougars are coached by head coach Amber Pernet, assisted by Ken Hayes, Kayla Shingle, Mark Lombardi, and Ashley Lee. And for your Rocket Cloud Panthers, on the number 4, Quinn Stewart. Her partner on number 17, Karen Catlin. For number 9, Kennedy Stewart. Forward number 10, Captain Katie Nelson. Forward number 22, Isabella Barry-Sandler. And in goal, number 1 on the ice, number 1 in our hearts, Isabella Stanton. Rocket Cloud Panthers are coached by Sir John Campbell, assisted by Barry Moore and Rachel Lane. Tonight's game is officiated by Justin Matthew, Wiley Schultz, and Ben Bodie. Please stand, doff the caps, face the flag, and sing along to our national anthem. Okay, let's play some hockey.
Can you highlight real Quinn's phone? She said
Welcome CJM hockey fans. Home game on this Tuesday in late November. a rematch against the Cougars of Mankato East. Slight change of venue. As you'll notice, we are coming to you live from Graham Arena as opposed to the Rochester Recreation Center. This was an added game onto the schedule for CJM after its initial season schedule came out. And we'll start the game with the top line: Kennedy Stewart, Katie Nelson, Izzy Basil Sandberg, and the defensive pairing of Tegan Carroll and Quinn Stewart. Mankato East gets it deep into CJM zone. Stewart out for Stewart and up to Nelson, who gets it past the Mankato defender. And now Mankato works around behind their own goal. Sent middle, Kennedy Stewart gives chase. Turned over, picked up by Basil Sandberg. She comes through, shot just wide of the net. Held the zone by Tegan Carroll. Mankato moves it near side. Dumped in, and East will go for a change, or finish a change. Partial line change completed for Century as Olivia Gannon gets on. Out to the blue line, shot right through, gloved by Scranton, and held, and will complete the line change for Century.
Do you remember her? That's great.
Face-off controlled by Century, but beat out to the puck by Mankato. They move it right out front, shot right on, off the skate of Scranton. Two more shots, and she pins it up against the side of the net. And we'll get another face-off. Controlled by Grossley. She moves it up the boards. Grossley, Gannon, Guerin, the triple G line back on. Picked up by Connors on D. Her partner is Kenzie Harding. Or sorry, Bristol DeWeese. Thought that 7 was a 2. Out off the skates again and takes her out. Mankato moves right through, a shot and a goal. Mankato worked it low to high right off the goal line, just up over the shoulder of Scranton. And it's a 1-0 Mankato East lead. Face off back to center, top line back out. Stewart, Nelson, Basil Sandberg, DeWeese, and Connors remain on defense. Connors backhand out to the point, held in by Mankato. Out to the front where DeWeese disrupts. Nelson down low to help out. Mankato comes away with it. Connors pokes that one away. We're going to get a call from out at the blue line. Nelson's going to go for body checking. She gave a little too much onto the Mankato player off into the far corner. So face off to the blocker side of Scranton. Grossley to take. Won by Mankato, moved out to the blue line. D to D pass, shot right on and a goal. Shot came clean through. Scranton just couldn't find it, however. And it's 2-0 Mankato just that quickly.
By the penalty assist penalty, number 10, Katie Nelson, 2 minutes with body check, 2:02 in the first, scoring on that puck play.
So triple G line out. Guerin, Gannon, Grossley, Harding, and Tegan Carroll on D. Carroll steps up, forces the Mankato player wide. She maintains the puck, moves in the middle though. Shot right back through, stopped by Scranton. This Mankato team moves the puck very, very well. Turnovers were costly last game against them. But here's a rush for Century John Marshall. Gannon up into the skates, unable to get it past this Mankato defender though, and they'll turn it right back around and go the other direction. Harding gets beat far side, shot up off the crossbar. Mankato maintains possession deep in Century zone. Walked right out front, shot right on. Scranton, goal. Scranton couldn't find it. And we're not even 3 minutes into the game and it's 3-0. So Nelson, Stewart, and Basil Sandberg line back out. Kennedy Stewart works it through the defender. Nelson holds the line. Stewart drop pass for Nelson. The ball's just off her stick. Nelson carries around the net. Nelson stick handles into traffic, loses that one. Turned over, but right onto the stick of Quinn Stewart. Stewart turns it in, but she's offsides as Basil Sandberg and Kennedy Stewart had not yet cleared the zone. Stewart and Connors are the defensemen out with the Stewart, Nelson, Basil Sandberg line. Katie Nelson works it deep in the zone. Turnover by Mankato, unable to corral it is Kennedy Stewart. They move it up the wall on the near side. Nelson gets through, picked off by Connors, however. Connors, she'll do the burst of speed, she'll carry up. Turns it back for Basil Sandberg. Basil Sandberg walks right in. Shot held. Shot, first shot of the game for Century John Marshall. Face-off will be to the left of the Mankato goaltender. Triple G line comes back out. Stewart and Connors remain on the point. Grossley ties up her player in the corner. Mankato moves it around near side. Chipped out to the line. Picked up by by Guerin. Picked up by Stewart there on the forced turnover. Stewart walks right in. Shot off the leg of the defender. She'll try to chase it down. Mankato brings it right back up. And now they'll elect to turn it back into the corner and regroup. Cross ice pass misses its mark and it'll be all the way down for icing. Gannon, Grossley, Guerin with Harding and Deweese on D. Moved out to the line, chipped by the defender. Mankato carries out across Century blue line, walks in right around Harding. Harding gets just enough of it to force her into the corner, however. East moves this puck really, really well. They cycle well. Gannon had her player tied up. Puck comes out, still maintained possession by Mankato East, however. They try to center it out to the slot, into traffic, disrupted there. But they come away with it again, move it out to the point. Shot gets through, hits a skate. Picked up by Harding. Harding will go up off the glass and get it deep into the zone. Century will get a line change. Bottled up there by Nelson. Forces the puck up into the bench area, which will bring the faceoff inside the blue line. Stewart and Carroll come out with the Nelson, Stewart, Basil Sandberg line. Faceoff, one out to the point into Carroll skates. She puts it, tries to go cross corner, but Mankato waiting for it, chips it right over. Breakaway, shot, blocker, saved by Scranton. Heck of a play there by Mankato to go up and over the two defenders, right onto the tape of her wing. Kennedy Stewart with a chance. tries to fight through a check. Unable to get through. Mankato, shot, and a goal. Four nothing is the lead. Face-off controlled by Mankato. Picked off by Gannon. Unable to get back to that puck, however. But this turnover lands on the stick of Grossley, but just bounces out of reach and onto the stick of Mankato again. Mankato works along the near boards, out to their point. Shot gets through, tipped. Glove by Scranton. Carroll gets it up to the half wall, but Mankato defender holds the zone there. Out to Guerin, who will get it up off the glass and back down the ice. Picked off by Basil Sandberg, but play is offsides. Nelson, face-off win to Connors. Connors puts it deep. Nelson on the attack. Joined by Kennedy Stewart. Turn back over. Nelson held his own by Connors. Shot steered into the corner by the Mankato goaltender. Kennedy Stewart brings it right out front. Backhand shot right out front. Into the skates of Basil Sandberg. Tipped by Stewart at the line. Picked up by Kenzie Harding. Harding off the boards to Stewart. Stewart hit along the wall. No call. Nelson walks right out. Right into the skates of Stewart. Shot got on, but tied up nicely by the Mankato defender. Didn't allow the rebound opportunity for Kennedy Stewart right on the doorstep. Gannon, Grossley, Miley White now on. Harding and Connors stay on the blue line. Mankato exits the zone, now 3-on-1 against Harding. Gannon back checking. Good job by Gannon to get a stick on that puck. Miley White works along the near wall. Centered out front. Connors gets a stick on it. Onto the stick of Grossley. Grossley up for Gannon. Gannon touches it. Might have just taken enough off to take away the icing call, and she does. Into the corner. Miley White forechecks. Harding watches this 3-on-2 shot. Steered into the corner by Scranton. DeWeese up to the point. Grossley gets it up for Nelson. Nelson with some speed. Works along the Mankato defender. Rung around by Mankato. Out past Stewart at the line. All the way down. No icing is the call. DeWeese picks it up, but just turns over onto the stick of Mankato. They get a shot that goes high and wide. Basil Sandberg gets it out to center ice. Kennedy Stewart gives chase. Cross ice pass broken up by Basil Sandberg. She'll bring it up and go off the boards for Kennedy Stewart. Stewart tries to turn back, loses it, but right onto the stick of Basil Sandberg will get it into the Mankato zone. They'll work behind their own net, look to break out. Watch nicely there by Stewart and Basil Sandberg. Cut off. Unable to hold the zone though is Century John Marshall. Picked off again by Quinn Stewart. Shot right on. Saved by Mankato goaltender, her third of the period. Shots in favor of Mankato at this point, 13-3. Triple G line, turned over right off the face-off as it fumbled just over the stick of Claire Grossley. Shot right on off the crossbar. Scranton got a piece of it, I believe, into the skates of Tegan Carroll, but Mankato comes away with it. Stopped, tipped by Gannon out front, but good job by Scranton to hold on to that one. Harding comes on. Out front where Kate Guerin puts a stick on it. Shot blocked by the Mankato's own forward. Mankato brings it back across the Century blue line. Walks right through three people. Shot off the face mask of Scranton. Connors. Carries, gives far side for Grossley. Grossley, she'll dump it in across the blue line, go for a change. Mankato sends long pass up onto the stick. She's 1-on-4. And Mankato maintains possession. Harding spins away from pressure. Carries around, gives it up for Basil Sandberg. In for Kennedy Stewart, but handcuffs her. She's not able to control. Mankato turns the other direction. Picked off by Harding. Harding carries with Stewart and Nelson with her. Over for Stewart, just off her stick. Stewart works deep in the Mankato zone. Brings it out front, or tries. Harding, cross corner. Kennedy Stewart will go to retrieve. Mankato turns it back up. Pressured there by Connors. Stewart, 1-on-3 in the corner. It's one way to tire him out. Nelson now joins the help. Nelson comes away with it. Nelson out to the point for DeWeese. DeWeese shot gets through, tipped by Kennedy Stewart. Icing against Mankato. Some moments of sustained pressure there for Century John Marshall. Start to look for anything positive to build on. Good shift there by the Nelson Stewart Basil Sandberg line, along with Harding and DeWeese. And Connors. Gannon tries to send it in deep, tipped off a Mankato stick and up into the netting, so we'll have a face-off again, deep in the Mankato zone. Gannon on the draw once again, wins it to Grossley. Grossley met by two Cougar players. Picked off there by Gannon as Mankato tried to break out. But Mankato comes away with it again, brings it near side. Pressure there by DeWeese. They chip it ahead. Tegan Carroll unable to get the puck off that stick. Shot goes wide, however. Puck up on the netting, or the back of the net. Will result in a face-off in the Century zone. Shot from the point, gloved by Scranton. Her 18th save, or her 18th shot faced in the period, 14th save. Face-off win. Grossley tried to kick it up to her stick, couldn't get it out. Mankato holds the zone. Glove by Scranton and held. Line change coming for Century. Kennedy Stewart, Katie Nelson, Izzy Basil Sandberg come out as the three forwards with Paige Connors and Quinn Stewart on D. Quinn Stewart to take the draw. Won by Mankato. Kennedy Stewart goes out to block. Held by Connors. Connors gives it up. Basil Sandberg tried to tip it up to Kennedy Stewart, but got too much of it. Just held it up too much. Step up there by Quinn Stewart. She pokes the puck ahead. Mankato just relentless, fighting, winning these puck battles. Cross corner dump. Stewart gives chase. Mankato sends it out to the point. Go D to D. Out into traffic. Connors ties up her player. Out for Kennedy Stewart. Kennedy Stewart tries to give it up for Nelson, but ends up sending it right onto the stick of Mankato again. Stewart reverses. Connors picks it up. Kennedy Stewart, stick on it at center ice. She's interfered with there, no call. Mankato will freeze and allows Century to get another line change. Stewart and Connors remain on the defenders. Miley White comes on at left wing with Olivia Gannon at center and Claire Grossley at right wing. Face-off control by Mankato. Mankato reverses again. They'll look to come out the other direction. Pressure there by Grossley, and Gannon causes a turnover right out front. Mankato picks up the rebound, however, and they'll skate away with numbers. 3-on-2 into the zone. Drop pass back for the high forward. Shot goes wide. Puck moves out to the line, but right onto the stick of Mankato. It does cross, however, and we'll get a face-off for offsides. Fortunate bounce there for Century. Face-off. Controlled by Mankato. Good stick by Gannon. Disrupts that play. Gannon fights that one out. Gets it a clear again. Nice shift by Olivia. Mankato comes the other direction though. Quinn Stewart steps up. Backhand out of the zone by Grossley onto the stick of Gannon. She'll chip it down, but this will be too far and it will be an icing call. And we'll come back all the way into the Century John Marshall zone. Nelson, shot right off the draw by Mankato. It's gobbled up by Scranton, but one to be wary of. A design play, just a straight shot right off the drop of the puck. They do it again. Mankato wins the puck out to the blue line, right out front, cleared aside by Tegan Carroll, picked up by Kenzie Harding. Harding, she'll skate back the other direction. Tracked down by the Mankato forechecker though. Rink wide pass is out of the reach of Stewart, but icing is negated. Maybe, yes. The Mankato defender definitely held up and did not give it her all to try and get to that puck. D-to-D pass behind the Mankato net, sent out with a breakout pass all the way out to the blue line. Good stick by Kenzie Harding. Breaks up that offensive attack. Tegan Carroll presses up. Rink wide pass by Mankato. Kenzie Harding gives chase. She'll come away with it, peel back around towards the middle of the ice. Doesn't like what she sees, comes back the other direction, puts it up past the defenders, or the forecheckers, but picked up by Mankato again. Shot, tipped through, off skates, still loose. Bounces around, cleared by Stewart. Kennedy Stewart out to center ice. She'll complete the line change that had partially taken place as the Guerin Gannon Grossley line comes back out. Connors tried to step up, just out of her reach. Mankato will come back with pressure. Steered into the corner, watched by Deweese and Gannon. Gannon comes away with it. She'll send it up into the corner far side, picked up by Grossley. Grossley back for Connors. Connors, she'll clear it back the other direction. 25 seconds remain. Sent the length of the ice. Icing is the call with 17.4 seconds on the clock. Nelson, Stewart, Basil Sandberg come back out. Connors and Deweese stay on the blue line as your defensive pairing. Face-off won by Mankato. Shot blocked out front by Nelson. Second shot attempt goes up and out of play. Must have tipped off a white player's stick because it stays, face-off stays in the zone. Nelson wins the face-off back. Mankato controls, however. Picked up by Nelson, 2 seconds and 1. She'll dump it in, and that'll bring us to the end of the period. Not the way we were looking to start, as Mankato jumps out to an early 4-0 lead. Shots on goal, 23 in favor of Mankato, 3 for Century John Marshall. We'll take a break, see if we can regroup, and see you back here for the second period. Power play here for Century John Marshall. Mankato sends it the length of the ice, retrieved by Stewart. Stewart sends it up for Carroll. Touches the glove on the Mankato bench, and we'll get a face-off just outside the blue line. Teague and Carroll unable to hold the zone there. Brought ahead by Stewart, but tried to go through a player, and Mankato will go the other direction. Sent it right out front. Mishandled, misplayed, and shot tips up over the net. Stewart over for Basil Sandberg. Basil Sandberg looks for options, sends it back for Stewart. Kennedy Stewart sends it down deep into the zone. Mankato first to it. Picked off by Katie Nelson, but poke checked away by Mankato, and it'll come back into the Century John Marshall zone once again. Stewart up for Nelson. Nelson gets through that forechecker. Nelson brings it in. Turned over high in the slot, retrieved by Kennedy Stewart. She'll leave it for Quinn Stewart. Stewart brings it all the way around the net. Leaves it for Teagan Carroll. Carroll down for Kennedy Stewart. Or sorry, that's Katie Nelson. Nelson sends one through the slot. Lost by Quinn Stewart. Kennedy Stewart able to squeeze it off there right onto the stick of Quinn Stewart again. Quinn Stewart lobs one, picked off by Mankato. They come back 2-on-1. Shot up over the net. Stewart sends it the length of the ice. No icing, they'll get a change. Held at the line by Guerin, in for Kennedy Stewart. Shot just off the goaltender's stick. Good job there by Kate Guerin to try and pick the pocket of the Mankato player. Step by Kenzie Harding, misses the poke check, and Mankato with their 7th of the game. Well, that might have been Claire Grossley in front, so I might have had my numbers mixed up, but regardless, it's a 6-goal lead for Mankato with 4:52 left in the second period. Kate Guerin picked off her stick by Mankato. Brought ahead by Gannon. Turned back, sent ahead by Grossley. Gannon forechecks and comes away with it. Picked up by Harding. Harding will turn back and regroup. Leaves it for Connors. Connors sends it into the middle for Guerin, who will send it in deep, and Gannon will give chase. Good stick there by Kennedy Stewart, causes a turnover. Gives it back for Gannon. Back for Kennedy Stewart, sends it out to the front of the net. Blocked by the Mankato goaltender. Out to the line, Connors. Shot into the shin pads. Blocked, picked up by Gannon. Gannon leaves it for Kenzie Harding. Harding will send it far side where Basil Sandberg will go try to chase it down. Nelson now joins her line mates, Kennedy Stewart. On the forecheck. Sends it out for Nelson and back out to the point. Oh, just over Connor's stick. Sends it over for Harding. Off the shin pad, too many. They're not going to call it apparently though. Connors sent back far side. Knocked down by Kenzie Harding, but no high stick call. She'll dump it in deep. Sent back up to the line. Good pinch by Connors causes a turnover. Nelson turned back towards the net. Mankato comes back out. 2-on-1, fanned on it. Got a second opportunity and saved by Scranton. Basil Sandberg tries to chip this one out of the zone, unable to clear. Mankato will send it far corner, picked up by DeWeese, back up for Basil Sandberg. She'll chip it by the defender and look to get a line change. Mankato brings it back the other direction, turned over right onto the stick of DeWeese, who gets it up for Kate Guerin. Guerin will send it in deep. Good pinch there by Tegan Carroll, holds the zone. Mankato sends it out to the line, but not out. Onto the stick of Kate Guerin, tries to move it towards the net. Now picked up by Gannon. Gannon sends it towards the slot. Grossly fights for it. Mankato comes away with it, however. Mankato crosses the Century blue line, turned over there. Grossly looks for Guerin. Mankato comes back, regrouping once again. DeWeese turns it back up off the stick of Kennedy Stewart. Brought back into the zone, Tegan Carroll will give chase. Now up to the side wall where Kennedy Stewart pressures. Shot gets through. Under a minute and a half left in the period. Blocked out front by Gannon and covered and frozen by Scranton. 1:17 on the clock. Nelson out there with Kennedy Stewart and Miley White. Miley White gives chase, looks to block at the line. Battle out front and covered by Scranton. Quinn Stewart, Kenzie Harding are the defensive pair. Nelson wins that one for Quinn Stewart. Nelson brings it up with Quinn Stewart, but Mankato tracks her down. Good save by Scranton, turns them aside. Shot right into the midsection of Scranton. Shots late here in the second period, 40-7. Harding brings it up near side. Miley White looks to break it out. Gets it out to the line, but unable to clear. Quinn Stewart sends it out hard to the line, but held by Mankato once again. Nelson deep in Century John Marshall zone to retrieve. Kennedy Stewart sends it up for Miley White, but just out of reach of her. Mankato brings it in. Backhand, nifty move there by their captain. Shot high and wide though. Stewart sends it off the glass, but not out. 10 seconds left. That time Stewart does get the clear. It'll come all the way the other direction for icing with 4 seconds on the clock. So face off back inside Century zone. 4 seconds remain. Gannon. Shot by Mankato. At the end of 2, score is 7-1, Mankato East. Shots in favor of Mankato, 40-7 after 2 periods. We'll take a break. We'll be back for third period action. All right, welcome back. Third period here from Graham Arena in Rochester. Century John Marshall takes on Mankato East, the Cougars. Stuart Nelson, Basil Sandberg start on offense with Quinn Stewart and Tegan Carroll on defense. Mankato brings it in across the line. Centering attempt. Defended there by Nelson and Stewart. Mankato works along the perimeter. 6-goal lead means it is run time in the third period. Stopped by Scranton there. The shot came from the far blue. Face off to the right of Scranton. Gannon, Guerin, Grossley, Quinn Stewart, and now Paige Connors on defense. Shot right on, kicked aside by Scranton. Claire Grossley fights for it on the far side. D-to-D pass by Mankato at the blue line. Shot off the crossbar. Cleared aside, shot coming, blocked out front by Gannon. Stewart and Gannon work along. Give it for Guerin, up for Gannon, but just out of her reach, but goes past the Mankato defender, so no icing. Turnover caused there by Gannon. Basil Sandberg sends it in deep. Kennedy Stewart goes to work for it. Nelson coming from the bench. Picks it off up high. Nelson sends it in deep into the zone. Gets past Harding at the blue line. She'll have to give chase. Harding in a foot race. Sends it back up for Basil Sandberg. And Nelson gets it out. Nelson has it knocked off her stick. Should have been offsides there, I would imagine, but we play on. And that time they blow it dead, offsides. Stewart, Nelson, Basil Sandberg with Harding and DeWeese on D. Face-off won by Nelson, back for Harding. Harding steps up, gives chase. Basil Sandberg disrupts on the far side. Puck brought all the way back in behind Scranton, however. Stewart picks it up to the line, offsides. Mankato will have to tag up. Harding picks it up behind Scranton. Walks by 1 forechecker, gets it across the red line. Sends it in deep into the zone. Right out front, backhand attempt by Nelson, just off the mark. Basil Sandberg stepped up there, poke check. Sends Mankato back in off sides again. Comes all the way around the net where DeWeese will pick it up. DeWeese sends it up. Kate Guerin couldn't get handles on it. Mankato will work it along the top of the circle now out to the point. Skate save there by Claire Grossley. Unable to get the clear, however. Mankato will turn it back into the Century zone. Nelson, at the end of a very long shift, will get a hand on it and just send it the length of the ice so they can complete the change. Gannon, Guerin, Grossley. Now out with Tegan Carroll, Quinn Stewart. Gannon wins the faceoff, picked up by Guerin, or by Grossley, but unable to get it out of the zone. Covered out front by Scranton. We'll get a stoppage. No, not a stoppage. We'll get a face-off. Clock will continue to run. Under 12 and a half left to play now. Nice stick by Tegan Carroll to not allow the Mankato player to get a shot out front. Mankato controls in the Century zone, however. Shot from the top of the circles on the half wall. Stick aside by Scranton. Shot blocked out front by Grossley. Back on a Mankato stick though, and a goal. Face-off won by Nelson. Poked ahead. Stewart gets it up for Basil Sandberg. Disrupted there by Stewart in the high slot, but Mankato still comes away with it and they're back 3-on-2. Connors gives chase. They send it right back out front. Shot just wide of the net. Sticked aside again by Scranton. Nelson ties up the Mankato forechecker in the far corner. Pass comes around near boards, blocked by Kennedy Stewart out at the top of the circle. Kenzie Harding bodies that player off the puck, comes away with it. Every time Century has the puck on their stick, though, they're surrounded by 2 or 3 Cougar players. Sent back in by Mankato. Connors tries to wrap it around for Kennedy Stewart, but mishandled. Comes right back up front. Mankato shot right on. And a good second save there by Scranton as the rebound came right out to the Mankato forechecker, and she had a point-blank opportunity. Miley White now on, out to forecheck or to try and block that shot. Gannon in the corner. Somehow that puck did not find the back of the net as it came right back out for a point blank shot again by Mankato. It popped up somehow up over the shoulder of Scranton. Gannon in the corner. Back up for Mankato on the half wall. They move it out front. Grossley disrupting at the top of the zone. Good block out front by Miley White. Out to the point. Back to the top of the circle. Shot coming. Up over the cage. Over for Grossley. Gets it out to the line, but not out. Sent in. Tegan Carroll battles out front. Olivia Gannon giving chase now. Carroll, poke check there. Mankato moves it back out front, tip right on. Onto the stick of Gannon, who will send it up. DeWeese will get an opportunity to send it down and touches the Mankato stick, so no icing. Stretch pass for Mankato. Fresh legs on for Century John Marshall. Broken up there by Quinn Stewart. Connors around for Basil Sandberg. Tries to center it for Nelson. They get into a battle. Nelson gets it over for Kennedy Stewart, but she's unable to win that stick battle. Kennedy Stewart tries to clear, backhand, blocked out front by Connors. Connors, she'll chip it ahead, but that one will get there for an icing, and we'll come all the way back into the Century zone. Connors back into the corner. Noelle McClanahan now on with the Stewart and Nelson. McClanahan gives chase, back in for Quinn Stewart. She sends it back up the line. Good stick there by McClanahan. Allows that puck to get past. Kennedy Stewart giving chase. Almost picked off the cross ice pass there. Connors back to retrieve. She'll send it back up near boards. Onto the stick of Mankato. Picked off by Nelson. She'll bring it around her own net. Nelson with speed. Sends it across ice for Kennedy Stewart. Good job to handle that. Tries to send it into the center of the ice, but unable to come away with it. Good step there by Connor. Sends it back into Mankato's zone. McClanahan. Good stick check there. Connors. Stewart. Send that puck neatly into the corner. Stewart up for Kennedy Stewart. Good block there by Kennedy Stewart, able to send it ahead. Quinn Stewart gives chase. Stewart shot right from the sharp angle. Blocked aside by the Mankato goaltender. Mankato brings it back up. 1-on-4. 5. Kate Guerin unable to get that stick on the puck. Shot from the point into traffic. Cleared aside by Stewart. Puck comes right through the crease, but gets by everybody. Onto the near side where Guerin watches. Now Miley White in the center ice. Olivia Gannon, Quinn Stewart. Onto the stick of Gannon. Gannon, backhand clear, gets it out. Past center ice. The Mankato turns it right back up. Turned over, Quinn Stewart will flip it up and past the forechecking Mankato Cougars. Regrouped once again though. Just inside the line, Quinn Stewart again will flip it out to center ice, but not quite far enough to get a change. Kate Guerin watches that player at the top of the line, now joined by Quinn Stewart. Mankato walks right along the top of the circle. Shot gets behind the net, right out front. Sticked aside by Stewart. Over for Miley White, who's unable to quite get there. Kenzie Harding in the corner. Helped by Gannon. Out to the line. Nobody there for Mankato. That'll go the length of the ice. No icing. Change coming for Century John Marshall. Just under 5 minutes to play in the third. DeWeese and Connors now on as the defense. Grace Haas on with Kennedy Stewart and Izzy Basil Sandberg. Shot wide of the net. Connors will retrieve. Basil Sandberg up to the line. Sends it out to neutral ice. Grace Haas gives chase. Mankato turns it back the other direction. They come in well offsides. And we'll get a whistle and a face-off just outside the Century John Marshall zone. Stewart at center with Grace Haas and Izzy Basil Sandberg at wing. Connors has the puck stripped off her stick in the corner. Mankato sends it out to the line. Shot pops straight up off somebody's dome down at the side of the net. Kennedy Stewart, 1-on-2 in the corner. Comes out and Mankato comes away with it. Mankato walks along the top of the circle, now gives it out to the point. Shot flipped to the middle. Haas on it. Grace Haas shadowing. Kennedy Stewart steps out, able to get the poke check on that stick. Sends it back the other direction. Connors will look to retrieve. Out to Haas. Haas gets it out to the blue line, not quite enough to get out. Second attempt, she's able to clear that time. Mankato will look to regroup, miscue there. Will allow for a few players to change on the Century John Marshall side. Kennedy Stewart gets it back behind the Mankato defense again. And a good stick there by Kennedy Stewart again, gets it deeper into the Mankato zone. Far side where Quinn Stewart will pick it up. Quinn Stewart looks to cut middle, shot right into the Mankato goaltender's midsection. She'll freeze, and we'll get a face-off in the offensive zone. Miley White out with Kate Guerin and Claire Grossley. White will take the draw. Stewart and Carroll on defense. Grossley gives chase in the Mankato corner. Stepped up by Stewart. She holds the zone, but rattled off a few bodies and eventually clears. Tegan Carroll brings it up near side. Chips it past one player, but Mankato again turns it back the other direction. Quinn Stewart, she'll ring it around the other way behind the net for Tegan Carroll. A long D-to-D pass. Kate Guerin will have some open ice and room to skate. Guerin gets it past the defender, walks right in, shot. Blocker saved by the Mankato goaltender, but it comes right back out front. Net is off its moorings. And a late flurry from the senior captain from Century, well, from John Marshall, Kate Guerin. Nelson out with Noelle McClanahan and Izzy Basil Sandberg, Paige Connors and Kenzie Harding on defense. Puck carried across the blue line by Mankato. They look to pass out front. Out to the blue line now, still controlled by Mankato. Back in along the half wall, disrupted there by Basil Sandberg. Icing is the call, and we'll come back all the way into the Century zone. 30 seconds left on the clock. Time for maybe one more face-off. McClanahan with Nelson, Basil Sandberg, Harding and Connors. Harding will take the draw. Kicks it aside from Nelson. Nelson gets it out to the line. Unable to get it out though, as Mankato turns it back in deep to the Century zone. Under 5 seconds now. One last shot attempt is blocked out front. And that'll do it here from Graham Arena. Final score, Mankato East Cougars 8, Century John Marshall 1. Shots on goal, 3-period total of 53 for Mankato East, 10 for Century John Marshall. Next action for Century John Marshall will be Saturday, November 22nd, as they take on Winona from the Rochester Recreation Center, a 3 p.m. puck drop. Join us in person, or we'll have the live stream going. But that'll do it here from the Graham Arena. Take care and have a great night.